Hi, I'm Pierce from Pipedream. There may be times when you custom build a workflow or integration for a specific one of your users, and you'd like to go ahead and apply that to all of your users or perhaps to new users that install your apps. Here I have a workflow that's an example of this. I have a MySQL database that's storing my users' OAuth credentials for BigCommerce, and I'm looking up one specific merchant's unique store ID in order for me to then retrieve the access token on behalf of that store. And then I can use the pre-built get all products action within Pipedream and pass the store hash and the access token that represents the access to that specific store. So this is great. I can get all the products that are within this store and pull them on a schedule, but I want to be able to do this across many stores. You could go ahead and manually copy this workflow from the UI, which is definitely possible. It just requires you to manually adjust this value each time a new merchant installs your app. Or starting now, you can actually programmatically create these workflows based off of a single workflow. So as you open this menu in the top right, click on Instantiate via API. This will allow you to select specific props that should be included by default. And then since here we're dynamically changing this value, we will not include it. And here we can press Generate API code. You can even modify the timeout and memory settings that are the default and include an optional markdown message. Then we click Generate API code. And here we can see the scaffolded API request to the Pipedream REST API to create this workflow based off of this current workflow. All you need to do is enter in your API key and pass this data. And here you can see the individual steps in the props that are configured using our MySQL connected account. We're looking up the stores table. We're filtering by the store hash, and then we're passing that specific value. So we can copy this request, paste it into our favorite HTTP tool, and then send the HTTP request to create a brand new version of this workflow programmatically. Let's go through a quick example of creating this workflow using this HTTP request. We'll go back to our project and we'll make a brand new workflow that is initiated on install. So on merchant install, because BigCommerce is an e-commerce platform and merchants are the users. So now we can have a webhook that's initiated when a new user installs one of our apps, and we can use run custom code for this case. It's just easier to read. And then from the code example, we can just choose this Axios example. This is a great example to just use a scaffolded request and just modify it to your needs. So the method would be a post request to our URL to the workflow. I'll grab that in a second. And then we define the data, which is the data from that request. And here's where we can modify the value dynamically for the store hash. So the most likely it would be under steps trigger.event.body.storehash, perhaps, if it's coming from your BigCommerce on install webhook, or perhaps you have some kind of logic within your app to emit a webhook to this specific trigger. You'd probably include the store hash there. And then last but not least, we need the actual URL, which we can grab from the history here. Perfect. I'm using Raycast for a clipboard history and then pasting in the exact Pipedream Workflows creation URL. And make sure you have this TCH, because this TCH references the original workflow. It's the template version of the workflow, and this steps property will overwrite the prop configuration for this brand new workflow to use instead of the originals. Also, it uses this org ID to find your workspace and this project ID to define the project that this workflow should reside in once it's created. So yes, you can programmatically create these workflows in different projects if you'd like. And then don't forget, we also need to include our headers. So we need to include the authorization header along with the bearer token, right? So the bearer token is our Pipedream API key, which we can find within the settings of our Pipedream account. So we can go on over to Pipedream, copy it in, or more secure using a environment variable like this and storing it within the Pipedream API key on our account. One minor correction here. Environment variables cannot begin with Pipedream. They're an internal reserved name, but we can use my first name, for example, for Pierce _ Pipedream API key. We can even adjust the settings of the workflow programmatically as well. So let's say we wanted to generate a specific name for this workflow so we don't get it lost in the different types. We can accept a parameter over the HTTP request. So we could say steps.trigger.event.body, and we could say maybe the store name, something kind of easy to remember store name, and that would create the store for us. So let's do a test request here. We'll use our workflow trigger to generate a test event, and the shop store name will be Pierce's Pillows. We're selling pillows at this store. And the store hash is going to be made up ABC123. We'll send the HTTP request, and then we can test our workflow end to end, make sure that it's actually working as we expect. Awesome. So now we return to our project. Let's go back to our Workflows API example, and we should see Pierce's Pillows right here. And you can see it was created automatically. So every day at 11 o'clock Eastern, it will go ahead and use that store hash to attempt to look up on our database for that merchant's install, use their access token, and get all products, which then we can use to perform any kind of number of operations with Pipedream. Really, the sky's the limit. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please reach out to us on our community or make a support ticket at pipedream.com/support. Hope this was helpful.